This is the big one. As you can see, it's got a very large bruise there and a great big bruise on top, as well as another one down the bottom there. So the best part of it is that bit there. So what we're going to do is try and separate off on a line, just leaving that bruise behind, coming down like that, and just taking in and then this section here will make good specimens, but it's just too big for anybody at the moment, so we'll see how this trims down now. And here we go with step 2. So what I've done is taken the bit off the end. I've just left myself a little tiny bit around the edges, and I've taken that nudge bit off the corner. So we've now got a piece about 1 foot by nearly 1 foot. And the other thing I've done, if you just gently turn him over, you'll see that it's a lot thinner, and you'll see how that's been roughly achieved by cutting parallel chunks across the back. That's, you see that one's not been done, that's the full thickness of it. I'll get around to that in a bit, but this one's the main one. So now we've got it down to a size that we can play with, we can get that inside and we can work on it internally on the diamond saw and start actually shaping it and cutting it around the edges. And here we have take a break time. This is the big slab, as you can see. I think you can probably get an idea. It is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's a beautiful piece. There's zoning and everything in that. Now, what we're doing, you can see there, I've got a saw cut. What we do is make hundreds of parallel cuts, and you can just see there the cuts. So you slice, dunk, 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 and then just knock them out. So you reduce. You can see there I've done some. So all the time you're scalloping out and removing rock. You know, these are big slabs. You can't use a hammer and chisel. You have to cut. You have to very, very slowly slice pieces out. You can't just run it through an enormous saw, because you end up with a flat piece, and that's the last thing you want. So that's that one. We'll come back to that as we gradually sort of make it a bit lighter. Down here we've got the phosphoric acid heating system. Phos won't work unless it's over about 15 degrees. Now we've got water in the bowl here. The temperature on that's about 23, so I'm hoping the Phos is about right at the moment, but I'm finding a lot of this stuff is not reacting very well. We can't get the cyanide off. This is the dicyanite. You can just see a block in there. It's horrendous stuff. You keep it covered, otherwise you get fumes everywhere. Here's another one. 2 pieces in there, just stewing away, and they'll go into the warm phosphoric very shortly. I'll wash those off. So that's what it's like. These are the boxes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes there at the moment. There you go. That's the sort of stuff that's coming out. And then if you want a real wheeze, well, there's a really nice piece actually. It's a big cube, and I've just done what I've done over there with the saw, and cut this down, and that's what it looks like when it's all been cut down. You can see it's almost like just a rough piece, but a lovely thin slab with a huge great thingy. Very nice big slab there, and so on and so forth. I don't know what the colours don't come out on these very well on the video, I don't think, but I mean, this one's almost black. It's just amazing. And under here careful, you'll see another load of pieces. So they're the better ones. Very, very good. So there you go, from the lab, boom boom. Well, after about 3 hours of trimming, and these are the there's bits and pieces everywhere at the moment, all over the floor, etc, etc. This is it. So what we'll do, we'll give it a final rinse. There may be more to do to this, but I think you can probably see it's pretty splendiferous. Hold on, I will try to get that. That's better. Let me just get some clean water over it. And we just lay it on there. It can drain off. And that is, wow. Let's turn the water off. So this started off, as you saw, as a very large piece, but if we now just turn him up, you'll see I've got it down to less than 2 inches. With a chiselled back. You can't have a sawn cut back, so you've got to make little tiny chisel cuts, saw cuts, and then that saw cut gets joined together with a chisel, as is, you know, as in that and that. So there's several hours of work just chiselling on this, but there we go. That's now got it to the point where it's about as good as it's going to be. I think there may still be a couple of little bits. I think there's a bruised bit on that crystal there, so that's going to go white when it dries. We can have a bit of a look. See what it looks like, but pretty amazing, and it won't change much as it dries either. See it just make it crystal tip, a little bit of bruising. And if we just, I don't know what light this will give. There you go. It's a slightly different light, but yeah, you can just see there's a bit of bruising to the top there. So I didn't go quite far enough when I made the break, but I think I'll yeah, it's better in this light, isn't it? So there you are, very exciting. That is a world-class piece. It's one of the finest fluorites I've seen. In many a year. That's just extortionate. It's extraordinary, and it fluoresces. Look, that's my new UV light, so you can see the amazing fluorescence. But yeah, there you go. So that's ultraviolet. Woohoo! What more can I say? It's spectacular. It's one of the finest fluorites I've ever handled, and I've got to say, I mean, the colour is just to die for. So there you go. Just mind-boggling. Acres of it. It's just incredible. And then there's this huge, big, flawless twin there. Wow. There you go. And this is pretty much the finished product. You can see tiny little marks still there where I've used the saw, but for the most part there's no marks left. So it's a piece, absolutely gorgeous. I think maybe a little bit more work to do. There's still, I went on the outside of this piece here, so there's a tiny bruise there, and another one now. I don't quite know whether to take those off or just accept those as part of the overall picture, but apart from that, she's pretty cool. So I think total of about 6 hours to prep that one. And now we've got a really nice specimen to play with. So there you go. It's got its own little box here. It just sits nicely in that box, all covered up. Keep the dust off it. So there you go.